Well, admit it. You've thought about it, how easy it would be to win a big prize on a television game show and take home a pile of cash. But the reality is, winning on a game show isn't as lucrative as you might think. Kelli Grant is a senior consumer reporter for smartmoney.com, and this morning she joins us with some things you need to know before you try out. Kelli, thanks for being here. This is a long list here, and you think going on a game show is going to be all fun, maybe some games and maybe some money. But first off, there's some things you may want to find out before you get in line. It may not be all it's cracked up to be. First off, you may get killed in taxes.
I think most people do realize that, if you win $100,000 in a game show, you're not walking home with $100,000. But the bill can be a lot higher than you anticipate. First thing to think about is that with those federal taxes, winning that much money, or really any amount of money, could push you into a different tax bracket, and that's going to affect all of the tax credits, how much you pay on the rest of your income, all of that. On a state level, oftentimes you have to file a separate tax return. If you don't live in New York or California where these game shows are, you have to file a state return there, and then you get a credit toward your home taxes. Well, if your home state charges less in income tax than these other states do, then you're not going to get all of that money back. Plus, you have extra in filing fees and preparation fees for that second state return.
You may even regret trying out. I mean, winning has financially destroyed a lot of people.
The lottery winners really get the big news headlines on this, where the winning can actually ruin them. But the same holds true for game show winners and anyone else who's really coming into money unexpectedly. You don't really plan for it. As we just talked about, those taxes can really be an unexpected killer. And then, on the other side of things, people who come into money unexpectedly tend to put a lot of it into things like real estate or cars, and they don't think about the taxes, the insurance, and the upkeep for something like that.
Okay, so explain this. A lot of the prizes you see on these game shows, whether it's the fancy car, whether it's a vacation, the prices on that are sometimes way overinflated, and that can hurt you.
They are. What you're going to see for any of these prizes, if you win a car, a vacation, even that lifetime supply of pudding, whatever it happens to be, you're going to get a 1099 for that at the end of the year, and with the value that the game show says that prize is worth. But they're looking at the sticker price, and if you're a savvy shopper, you know that even for something like a car, you've got haggling room in there, you've got sales, you've got all sorts of incentives that could drop that price. So oftentimes you're paying more in taxes on this than what you would pay if you were just buying the item outright. And that's something to think about, especially if you were going to sell that item and hoping to make some money that way.
So when I'm in this long line trying out for this game show, I'm not always on equal footing with my fellow contestants.
Surprisingly, one of the things that came out when I was writing this article is that there is actually a pretty substantial community of people who just do this for a living. And that they've been on Wheel of Fortune, they've been on Jeopardy, they've been on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they just go from show to show to show, and they make a good amount of money doing this, and they really, a lot of them just do it for fun too. But you're up against people who have done more than just sit there at home and say, wow, I could do this. They've actually done it repeatedly, and something to keep in mind for what your competition is.
Oh, cottage industry out there, Kelli. Even if you win, though, you might go home empty-handed.
Yes. Something that you don't necessarily notice when you're watching at home is that the runners-up, even if they're left with, say, money on the board on Jeopardy, they're not necessarily going home with that. A lot of these game shows do not actually give cash to the runners-up. You do get those prizes, and then you're paying taxes up front on the prize money. So sometimes people will just actually reject the prizes and go home empty-handed to avoid some of that hassle.
Something to think about, maybe not as good as it's cracked up to be. Kelli Grant, I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.